I've mentioned it before and I'm going to say it again. Once you learn something in JavaScript, find a way to use it. Get in the habit of practicing it so you can really internalize it, and that's exactly what we're going to do right now. So we have this exercise for you where you're going to find the biggest number and in an array and display it in the console. All right, so we provided the array, and now your job is to loop through the array and display the biggest number, which obviously is 87, but you need to loop through it to find the biggest number. So what I want you to do is try to work this out. You already know that when we're using an array, if we're going to loop through it, we need to use a for loop. So start with that and try to figure out, okay, well, what can I do first? What should I do in my for loop to pick these numbers apart? How do I compare the numbers to figure out which one's the biggest? So take a little bit of time, take a good 10, 20 minutes if you have to, try to figure this out. Pause the video from here. All right, so let's walk through how you would actually code this up. So first thing we're going to do is let's first create a new variable that we're going to use to contain the biggest number. All right, so we're going to use one variable where you can push data to, essentially. So we're going to create a for loop. I is equal to 0 because we're looping through an array. I is less than array dot length, of course, because we're looping through an array again. And then I plus plus, because we want to go one at a time. So we're looping through the array right now, and we can display the values, if we wanted to, all of them, by doing array I. So what we need to do is compare array I to something. And you might have already guessed that we're going to compare it to biggest. So we're going to do if biggest is less than array I, biggest equals array I. So what this is doing is basically saying if biggest, which would be 0 at the time, is less than 10, okay, because that's the first one we're going to loop through, then biggest now equals 10. Then it goes back and it says if 10 is less than 55, which it is, biggest now equals 55. Then we loop through again. Say, all right, is 55 less than 22? No, it's not. Therefore, this does not happen. So biggest does not change. It's still 55. And it loops all the way through. Now what we have to do is console.log our biggest variable. Save it. Go back to the page. Refresh. And there we go. 87 showing up, the biggest variable. And if you want to check this out also, once biggest is changed, you can also console.log biggest right here. Save it. And let's refresh. And now you can see it changed only those 3 times, 10, 55, 87, which is when the number got bigger, essentially. All right, so I hope you learned a lot through this. Definitely come back to this one later on. A week from now, you're definitely going to forget the answer. Come back to it and try it again if you didn't get it the first time.